This is the open letter to the lost. We are a lost generation of analog people living in a digital age where truth has gone the alternative way of rumor, social good has become secondary to economic gain, beauty is defined by Photoshop, and prejudice has become the dominant voice of our generation. The world has never needed voices of resistance more, voices of hope and self-love, of fresh water and empowerment. Yeah. Join us and commit your art to the resistance. Great art has purpose. What's up, guys? Whoa, that did not work out the way I thought it was gonna work out. Okay. Welcome back to my channel. Thank you so much for being here. I'm Anna, and so today I have a poetry book talk, and I don't know if you guys knew this, but April is like National Poetry Month or something. So in honor of National Poetry Month, I will be doing a poetry book review every week for the month of April. So that being said, this is my third book review, and so yeah, I'm really excited to bring this one to you guys today. This book is not written by just one author, it's more of a project compiled of about 100 different authors, and you know me, I love poetry, and I love when I can get so many different poems from different authors, different poets, all in one book. That's like the best deal ever. And so the book that I have for you guys today is one that is inspiring, it is uplifting, mind-blowing, and it's got a bunch of my favorites, so let's get into it. The title of the book is Crown Anthology, and it is edited by Lēon and Gabriel Sage. This is a compilation of 200 poems written by 100 different authors and poets. Its foreword is done by Tyler Gregson, who is one of my favorites. If you haven't read any of his stuff, I highly recommend it. Just from page 1, I was hooked, because like the foreword, even the foreword was gorgeous. Think of a poet writing a foreword, and then think of how amazing that would be, and then add to it the fact that it was Tyler Gregson, and your mind will be blown. It wasn't a poem, but it felt like poetry. It just felt so like ethereal and otherworldly. Like it was someone outside of the world, of the universe, like writing this about these people, and I don't know, that just makes me really happy. Like literally on the first page, the first 3 words, I guess, for the dedication is "for the lost," and I don't know, that made my heart warm. I really love things that are dedicated not to like specific people. I mean, that's fine too. I don't know, it just feels like more special when it's dedicated to people in general, and like for the lost, I mean, who isn't lost? It's 2019. If you're not lost, you're not alive. I don't know. That sounds really morbid, but I don't know. I feel like we're all a little lost, and so this book is for everybody. The introduction is written by both Lēon and Gabriel Sage, and it's beautiful. It explains what the project of Crown Anthology is, and so it's basically a book that's supposed to promote community between writers and poets and hope. Not only writers and poets, but also the readers as well. That's really important. It's just supposed to be like this symbol of unity, of like bringing people together from all walks of life, and truly what I think the medium of poetry is supposed to embody in the first place. And so like have a book that states like its core belief and desire and design is to do just that. It's like hooked. Hook, line, sinker. You can find these people on Instagram. In fact, the cool thing is, at the back of the book, they list every single poet that has a poem in this book and where you can find them on Instagram. So, I mean, if you find one that you really like and you want to know who this person is, you can go find them, go in the back of the book, and go look them up. That's awesome. Go tell them how much you loved it. I know I did for a couple of the people that I really liked. This book is also broken into 5 sections, and their titles are glorious. So the first section title is called Tender is the Night. The second is Paradise Lost. The third is As I Lay Dying. The Sun Also Rises, and Look Homeward, Angel. So these titles are actually really important. They are each titled after a different novel by a very prominent writer. So Tender is the Night is a novel written by F. Scott Fitzgerald. Paradise Lost, I'm sure a lot of you know, is written by John Milton. It's more of a epic poem, which awesome. As I Lay Dying is a novel written by William Faulkner. The Sun Also Rises, another popular one by Ernest Hemingway, and then Look Homeward Angel is by Thomas Wolfe. Now, I don't know a lot about all of these authors. Obviously, I know who F. Scott Fitzgerald is, who John Milton is, who Ernest Hemingway is, William Faulkner. I don't think I've ever heard of Thomas Wolfe, but I just thought it was really interesting that the titles had to do a lot with prominent writers and the titles for their own novels, and I'm not sure, I haven't read all of those books, so I don't know if the connection between the story in the book and the poems in the section have any correlation, but if you read any of those books and you know specifics about that, please let me know, because I really would like to find out more about that. I feel like this book moves in a specific direction, which is always important for me. I love direction in anything. So like in a story, anything that moves a story forward. Poetry, if it has like a direction or like a motion, if that makes sense. I don't like static things. Yeah, I like it more dynamic. Yeah, so this moves in a direction, I'm sure as you can tell from the titles. Tender is the Night, of course we're in the dark, and I guess symbolizes things that happen in the dark. Paradise Lost, we've lost something incredibly important to us, maybe as humans. I mean, Paradise Lost has to do a lot with like biblical stories, and of course like the beginning of the world and things like that, and how the paradise of Eden was lost. So like I guess we've lost our sense of like security, our sense of safety, the perfection maybe that we strive for. We've lost that. As I Lay Dying, obviously when you lose something, it's like a death. It's a very dark sort of painful time to go through. And then The Sun Also Rises, we're moving towards the morning, towards hope. The Sun Also Rises, I really love that phrase. It's just like, you could say anything before it and then say, but the sun also rises, and it's like it makes it so much more hopeful, so much more inspiring, so much more, I don't know, just better. And then Look Homeward Angel. Yeah, that one gets me too, because I feel like we're all striving for this place we can call home. And especially if you are the lost, as this book is dedicated to, you're always wandering, you never feel like you have settled into anywhere, into any place, into any group of people. You always feel like you are an outsider. And so to encourage and boost the reader, they give us that last section, this beautiful section, to embody the phrase "Look homeward, angel," because I mean, home is where we're going, isn't it? So Tender is the Night. There are a ton of different poems in here, a ton that I love. We don't really get into a lot of my favorites until we get, of course, towards the end, because I'm just biased towards hope, I guess. A lot of the poems in this are obviously, I mean, a lot of poems are about love, so you're gonna have that in every section. I was trying to like figure out what the Tender is the Night section is supposed to like mean or embody or reveal. There are a lot of, in my opinion, a lot of random poems in this one. Of course, they do have that theme of like night, and so I guess maybe moving into the things that we think about at night, just our thoughts that happen, like, you know, when you're alone and you're thinking either about someone, like that special someone, or things that you've been through, memories, things that we remember was a really big theme in this section. Deja vu, feelings that of nostalgia, maybe a little melancholy are in there as well. Tender is the Night is, yeah, definitely I would sum it up as like memories, things that we think about when we're alone, and that's usually at night. So moving on, we are going into Paradise Lost, which obviously, as I said before, has to do a lot with the loss of something important to us, whether that is a person or a love or a desire or an expectation, a victory, things that we lose that we put a lot of importance in, and sort of the way that we feel when that happens, the ways that we deal with that when that happens. this is where I start to like dog your pages, because the poems, like, they start increase, like, they get so good. I'm gonna have to read one to you guys because it was amazing. So I found one by one of my favorite poets, the Poetry Bandit. If you don't know who he is, go find him on Instagram, go buy his books. They are amazing. Judge me all you want. I haven't done a book review on any of his poetry books, but until then, here's one of his poems because he got to be in this project and I was so excited to see his name in this. I am moving on, but stuck in reverse. Between the ears, gumming up gears, running through the years, wondering how I ended my story on sour notes on more than one occasion, like gnashing my teeth, crying for one more chance to never let go of the past, like a Christmas tree still lit up in July. Just every time he gets me. Definitely things that have shaken us, things that have caused us to lose what we either want the most or what we love the most. Also, there is like this desire for sort of like a breaking, not of like the human spirit, but of the walls that we build up to protect ourselves. That was another little small theme that I noticed. Because of all the hurt that we've gone through in the past, of course we tend to build walls, myself included, and those walls also prevent us from finding that paradise that we want, from the love that we really want, from the success that we really want. Those walls really do hinder us from reaching our goals because of the fear. And so there is like this also innate desire for someone or something to come along and like break those walls. The real truth of the matter is we build those walls because we're not strong enough to endure what we need to endure in order to move forward in life. Like we're just, I know for a fact, like we're just not strong enough, and so that's why we need other people. That's why this book exists. It's to highlight the necessity for community and for other people. And so there is a great desire for us to have someone come alongside us and be like, I know that you're not okay, like I know you're lying to me, and I know that we can get through this together, so like let's break the walls, let's move forward. And it's not like a simple process where you like take a sledgehammer and just once and done and it's over. No, it sometimes is a lifetime process. Sometimes it takes years to finally like overcome the obstacles that we've created for ourselves, but in the end the process is worth it, especially if it's done with a person who is trustworthy and loving and treasures you for you. Yeah, there's this one, it's by Adrian Michael Green. It embodies that a lot. You are who you are, and no matter how hard you try pretending to be whole, I know you're a broken puzzle, trying to find all the right pieces. I honor that part of you that yearns to be put back together. And there are a lot of poems in this section that have that same theme of desiring to be put back together from whatever broke us in the past. So moving on, as I lay dying, obviously whatever broke us in the past is killing us slowly now. And so this is the section that discusses how that happens. It's just so relatable, and it's amazing how, you know, we go through life and we feel like I'm the only one that feels like this, and yet like it couldn't be further from the truth. And yet it's so hard to believe because we walk around and we see people and we're like, they could never be going through anything. They look perfect, they look so put together, and it's like, no, everybody has something. And I think when you look at people with that mentality, it makes it a lot easier to not feel so alone. Not because you're happy that they've got a problem or a pain in them. It's not that. It's more like something that we share, that we have in common, that nobody is necessarily above anyone else because we all have something that we are dealing with. There's this it's a one-liner, but it's so amazing and so important, and it's by Horatio Jones, and it says, you may know your worth, but that doesn't mean you value it. Okay. Well, that is truth if I've never heard it before. I feel like that's the case for me, and I know for a lot of people, it's that I know that I'm worth something, But whether or not I value that is an entirely different thing. And that is a struggle that I face every day, of like knowing that I'm worth the struggle and the attention and the love that other people give me, and yet not valuing it myself, so that I put myself in situations where I can get the things that I need, if that makes sense, for like my mental and spiritual and physical health. Yeah, that was a slap in the face, a good slap in the face. Sometimes we need those. And so yeah, I was really happy to like see that and be like, wow, call me out, why don't you? The Poetry Bandit has another couple poems in here that are amazing. Also, his wife, her name is Rose, and she is also a part of this project, and so it was really great to see both of them in here. She hasn't written a book as far as I know, but I would be so excited if she did, because she's also an amazing writer. And you can find them both on Instagram. I won't be able to cover every single poet in here. I know that you're definitely going to find one that you know if you read this book. Well, as we move through this section of As I Lay Dying, we begin to see sort of a slow progression towards the idea of hope, which is perfect because it sets it up for the Sun Also Rises section. We start to get into uplifting poetry, happy poetry, poetry that's meant to inspire and encourage you to keep pushing on, because as the title says, the sun also rises. It's just beautiful in order to bring you out of, or help you at least, to come out of your sadness and your pain, and give those moments that broke you some purpose, and to seek to not wallow in the pain or the sadness, but to use it to find new ways of purpose and happiness and fulfillment. And a lot of themes of The Sun Also Rises is how to face challenges in life, because there are many. Every single day, for every day of our lives, there are always going to be challenges, and because of that, we really do have to talk about the ways in which we can overcome those challenges, those obstacles, the ones that we create for ourselves, the ones that other people create for us, the barriers that we have to break. All of those things are vital to our development as a human. And so, if we are not careful, we can let those things completely annihilate us, and that is not what these poets, that's not what this book, that's not what anyone wants. And so yeah, this section, The Sun Also Rises, is very special to me because it has really encouraged me to be fearless, or at least to try more to be fearless, to have more courage, to find purpose in the pain that I'm going through, to sit with it and to learn from it and try and figure out what I need to learn from it. That was really, really special to me, and I know that it will be special for a lot of people who go through things that are unimaginably painful and yet survive, amazingly survive. It's really interesting that this comes up now because in one of my classes this subject has also come up, and that's the idea of wisdom and the importance of wisdom. And so it's by this author named N. Wong, and it goes, "Our egos yell at us to be impenetrable and dignified. Quiet it. Its roar scares away wisdom. Attract wisdom with the sap of weakness, vulnerability, and transparency. There is much sweetness in these things. Wisdom begins when our quest for perfection ends." Could not be more true. And I've definitely found in those rare moments in my life when I decide to be more vulnerable, decide to embrace whatever my weakness is, those are the moments where I learn the most. And I look back and I appreciate them. It was really hard to do, and I definitely don't do it enough because it's super scary. But that being said, it needs to happen more because that's how growth happens. The weakness, the vulnerability, and transparency, those are all things that we build walls up against to protect, and those are the very things that we need in order to move forward and to grow. And so I just love reminders. It's so hard to do, and sometimes it's because we don't have enough reminders that we need to do it. And so anytime that I get a reminder to push forward and to kind of overcome my fears those are the things that I need more in my life. And so I have no problem in buying more poetry books if that means I'm going to get more wisdom. The Sun Also Rises just has so many great poems that I can't even get through all of them. Like, I've written on every single one. You know, the funny thing is, some of them are long, some of them are really short, but most of them are incredibly powerful. And that just speaks to the beauty of diversity in writing and how different people manage to say the same things in so many different ways and in so many and reveal like so many different meanings for so many different concepts. And I don't know, that just makes me the happiest because I love seeing how diverse we are as a people in our creativity and in our thinking. So the last section, Look Homeward, Angel, is glorious. This one is like looking to the future. It is everything that we want to have, but we may not have now. But this tells us that it's coming, and that the things that we want, if we're able to do what we've talked about in the past sections, then home is coming. And I just love that hope, that they end with hope. It's such a beautiful way of ending a book. A lot of looking to the future has to do with figuring out in the now what we want and what we don't want, and how to leave behind what we don't want and have room for the things that we do want. That's incredibly important. You can't have the things that are coming in the future if you're holding on to all of the negativity and like baggage of the now. You have to find ways of letting those things go, of releasing all of the clutter, like the mind clutter, the soul clutter, to make room for the goodness that is coming in the future. So literally, one of the poems by Rose, the Poetry Bandit's wife, is basically talking about just that. She says, "The corrosion I feel in my bones as the years creep by comforts me in a quite peculiar way. My beginnings give way to the closing chapters, and there's something exciting about ending, whether happy or otherwise. For to end means to have the opportunity of beginning anew, down a different avenue. I am aware that one day the final ending will be upon me, but even then I anticipate a future of forever." I have to say, I do not see it that way, and I wish I did, because I feel like I would be a lot more peaceful if I felt that way about the future. Currently, I feel like I'm always running out of time. Like, I forever am racing against this imaginary clock, and no matter how many times people tell me, oh, I'm young and I have time, I never feel like I have time. And I feel like opportunities are passing me by, and that I will never be able to reach whatever goals that I am going to reach before whatever impending doom falls upon me, and it's very stressful. It's really stressful. And I try to tell myself that you have to be okay with the places that you are now and the things that you're doing now in order to secure your future. And I also have to be aware that that future may never come, and I have to find a way to be okay with that, because otherwise I'm never going to have a good time doing what I'm doing or pursuing my passions or perfecting my trade. I'm just never going to be satisfied to be in the moment. And so I loved that poem for that reason, of like giving me another perspective on how to view the future. It was just a really great eye-opener for me. So this section is very perceptive about the human condition and the way that we think. It's very enlightening as to the many desires that we have, some very specific desires, some very specific patterns that we have in our lives. This whole book just made me like happy in a way that like only good writing can. I hope that this review inspires you to not just pick up this copy, but to broaden your horizons and find content, whether that be in books, in film, in theater, in any form of art, available to help open your eyes to like all of the things that we as humans are made of. We are really complex and like intricate beings, and a lot of times we don't consider those things when we interact with other people and we try to self-analyze ourselves. It just helps to connect with the world in a different way. So, Crown Anthology, one of the greatest. Definitely a beautiful, beautiful project. If you want to know more about this project, I will put the links for the Instagram page for the project itself so that you guys can go find out more. Thank you so much for watching, guys. I hope that you enjoy your day, your week, and I will see you next week in a new video. Bye.